Good morning. At least for me, it's still the morning. Welcome to our webinar today. My name is Emilia. I'm from Ani Advisor, and I'll be hosting the webinar. Thank you for taking your time today. We have quite many attendees for the webinar. Not everyone is here live today, but hopefully you'll be watching the recording afterwards. But we have quite a few people from Finland. Some of you we already know, some of you we don't know yet, but also from Spain, UK, and Netherlands. So welcome everyone. If you like, you can tell us in the group chat or in the webinar chat. You can tell us where you come from, who you are, and what the weather is like there, or something to make it a bit more casual, to make it more fun. Like I said, I am in Tampere myself, and it's raining a bit, but it's still quite warm, and hopefully lots of flowers will bloom after. But we are not here to talk about weather today. We are talking about how to support students in a vocational school. And we have Juhani Valkama here from Varia Vocational School. And Varia is one of Ani's first partner schools. They have been with us for 6 years. And that gives us a really unique opportunity to see some long-term results from the automated student support that they have. And after Juhani's presentation, we will have Ani's Emilia Kuusikoski. She's our customer experience manager, and she will tell us more about how to set up absence-based support messages in practice. So yeah, very exciting. We have a few practical notes before we start. Feel free to ask any questions at any point in the chat. You can do that at any time, like I said, and I might pop up some questions between the presentations. But after the two presentations, we will have a separate discussion Q&A session, and we'll have more conversations. And even then, you can still ask in the chat or join in the chat, or if you want, you can also open your mic or even camera if you want. You're comfortable, but you do you, whatever suits you best. But I won't be taking more of your time at this point. I will now give the stage to Juhani. Go ahead.
Thank you. I'll do there. Let's see. There. So, hello, I'm Juhani Valkama, and I'm from Varia. And today I'll be talking to you about how Varia has reduced student dropouts with Ani, and then I'll also talk a little bit about the automated absence intervention that we've started last year. I'm a math teacher, but over the years I have drifted from teaching more into an administrative role. For example, I do school timetables. I'm one of the super users for our student information system. I build reports, for example, Power BI, and I'm part of a team that recognizes prior learning. So, and etc., etc. I sometimes joke that I have a bit of a jack of all trades role in our organization. And regarding Ani, my job is to make sure that data from our student information system is correct and is also goes to Ani correctly, so that all the phone numbers and such at least mostly work, so that the messages go to the students and the teachers can use the Ani system to react to those needs that the students send. Next, a little bit about Varia and statistics about Varia. And Varia is a decent-sized vocational education institution based in Vantaa, and but I know that you can all read, so I'll skip the rest. You can study them at your leisure afterwards. And here's a map of Vantaa, and you can see our locations. We have 4 of them where students study, Vehkala, Aviapolis, Koivukala, and Hiekarju, and you can see here's a train track. So most of these are strategically located a walking distance from a train station, which I see is a good thing for us, easy to come to study in Varia. And here's a picture that shows our history with Annie, and like said in the beginning, we have a long history already with Annie, and here's some milestones in our relationship. And the main reason with aligning with Annie was to tackle the dropout rate for students, and this chart shows how it's changed over the years, starting before we had Annie up to last year. The pilot and rollout was in 2019-2020, and after that, Annie wrote an impact assessment about how the start went. In the beginning, of course, the data was gathered from the student information system, populated with some extra data, and then manually shipped to Annie. But we wanted also to align the messages better to the student's journey, so we built an integration from the student information system to Annie, and thus have received. It works with automation, and we're better able to do these things that we've wanted. And I'll also go deeper on these different milestones on the next slides. And we've also been taking part in AI pilots and are considering its possibilities for the future. But since it's not part of our portfolio right now, I'll sidestep that subject area for this presentation. So how did it all start? In 1920, there was a competition called the Clash Challenge that was hosted by Finnish municipalities. And the basic idea that Vantaa was part of in the challenge, in the way that we gave a problem to be able to solve. And the problem that we wanted to solve was that how to get a scalable solution that will enable more young people to receive personal help early on. And I actually don't know how many participants were in this challenge number 3, but Annie won. And so we started our cooperation from this time. And our implementation in the start was that when the messages were sent out 4 times a year to the students, and when we got answers from them, they were delegated to these staff members, and so responsible teachers and guidance counselors and etc. And these 3 learning support staff receive the information through a service coordinator. Additionally, we had other people and groups to facilitate this process. And after the start, Annie wrote an impact assessment to show that what happened for the competition, and I mean, yes, and showed that the student and staff attitude was positive, and the dropout rate had greatly reduced in the interval that was studied. And there was another another school that was also with in this process with us, and that's a pretty good decrease. So we were happy in the how this went. So we continued our cooperation, and a funny anecdote into this is that at that time Varia and Annie became a part of a national news segment in the TV, and that was interesting. So the next step was the integration between our student information system and Annie. And today it moves data once a day between the programs. And this gave us the possibility to send the basic messages that we sent before to better fit the student's journey. So instead of 4 times a year to students that can, and our students start at different points in the year. I mean, most start in the fall, beginning of fall, but a big part of the students also start whenever. I mean, summer months are the only ones that we don't get new students, but other than that, we have new students coming in every month. And so now that we have this integration, we can send the messages 3 weeks and 6 months from the student starting. So it's a better fits the student's journey, so that everyone gets 3 weeks of the starting studies and 6 months from starting studies. So it's easier to also when we get the messages, we know what situation that the student is in. And this integration also enables new types of messages, and we've adopted 2. One is that sends messages for students that start on-the-job learning, and then one that sends messages to students if they have more than 25 hours of absence in 1 month. And these are all automated. And this picture show what happened when we did this integration and started these new automated messages. And one of the big advantages was that the messages are delivered more evenly throughout the year. So here you can see that the 4 messages a year, they're big spikes, and when we have many thousand students, that then some of the staff members can feel a bit overwhelmed with the tens of messages to react to. When the messages are sent throughout the year, the spikes are much lower, which is good. Also, in the beginning, when we sent the messages, we sent the messages to everyone, and so when we are able to better target the students we send the messages to, we were also able to decrease the amount of total messages to send. So you can see here about 10,000 messages when you send to everyone, regardless of their situation, and then about 6,500 when we send them only for the certain situations that the students have. And around the time that we did this switch, I received feedback, and then one of the common feedbacks was that the work load felt lighter and more even. after the switch. So this has been a great change for us in Varia. And then a little bit about the support message for absent students. This is the message that we send for the students, and it tells them that it's the any support part, and it also tells why the message is sent. So because there has been lots of apps away from the studies lately, and also tells that the main point is to support for studying and well-being, and gives the student different choices, and the student answers with the letter. So if the answers letter A and tells that the studying has been difficult, then the message goes to our special education teachers. And so if there's motivation problems, it goes to student counselor. If they've been sick, it goes to their main teacher. And if they're going through a tough time, it goes to service guide that goes messages with the students, and if need be, then go delegates the message forward to passes forward to student support. So again, the nurses, social workers, or psychologists. And choice E gives another question, and depending on the answers for those, the message goes to the main teacher, study counselor, or the student gets information about student support. But also there's an F choice. Then it's a good message for us also. So we want to student to answer even if everything's fine, so that we know the situation. And then here's a little bit statistics from this 1.5 years that we've been using this. Sorry, these are a bit small, but I can read through these, that the response rate has been 56%, so a little bit over half of the students have answered. The support rate is 29, so it's pretty big. 1/3 answer that they need some support, and afterwards, that when we've asked Annie asked them have the students received the help that they needed, only 6% answered that they did not get their needs. And most of the students that answered said that the answers fell into two themes, being physical well-being and life plans, career, and activity, which then went to two different staff members, the main teachers and service guides. And about 90% went into these categories. And my own take from these statistics is that this is a bit small, but about 2,000 students, 2,000 counts of students being absent more than 25 hours a month. I see that as a big amount, and it highlights one of the challenges that Varia faces, that students that are not at school, it's hard to get them to learn, and since teaching is our main objective, then that's a problem that we need to tackle every day, every year. The response rate is sadly a bit low, so almost half don't answer, so we can't be certain that we have that they may have some needs that are not being addressed. But with the support need rate being pretty high and the sports shortfall rate gladly pretty low, I think I can confidently say that it has been a valuable tool to help students in this area. that many have received help for the being away from school. And like promised, now this is a bit more longitudinal view of how from a longer period of time, since we've been 6 years with Annie, and we start with the response rate, and you can see in the beginning we had a honeymoon phase in the first year, and then it dipped into the 50-60% range. Sorry. And then, interestingly, the first half of this year, there's been an uptick back towards the high percentages that we started in the beginning. It'll be interesting to see if this holds for the rest of the year. Sport need rate has a similar V or maybe a W shape that it started high, dipped low, but has been climbing up a bit now. And these two are interesting. That is there has there been a shift in student what's it called? Some kind of a generational shift that are the students more active and more understanding of their needs, or maybe there's some other forces in play, or this is just normal statistical variance. But interesting to see this and see how it plays out in the coming years. But support shortfall rate, you can see, especially in the beginning, this has been one of the areas where we've had to focus on. This has not been our best part of this, that many feel that they don't get the help that they need. But I'm glad that it has gone down and the situation is better. But we need to focus on this in the coming years as well, to make sure that the students really get something when they tell us the needs that they have. And all in all, the dropout rate has been very satisfying. The trend here from it has gone down almost every year, and it's all in all, it's a big percentage change from the start of using Annie. Of course, this is not to say that Annie is the only thing that Varia has done to tackle dropout rate. There's many things every year that we do to try to make the situation better. And also, it's important to note that statistically, also students that change qualifications count into the dropout rate. So, for example, here in Varia, we don't see all dropouts as negative. So the students that just change qualifications, we see that it's a positive, that the students better understands what they want and go to the studying the thing that better suits them. But overall, in all, I believe that Annie has done its part to lower the threshold for students to ask help, and thus for them to receive early support, and that has helped them to continue studying with us in Varia. And I'm glad that we have been been able to be part of the journey from the start, and hopefully this is just the beginning. Personally, I hope that the percentages continue to drop and all the way to 5%, and hopefully this will be possible. But thank you for listening, and this is my part of the this webinar. And let's see if I can stop there.
Thank you. Thank you, Juhani. Thank you very much for your very well-structured presentation and nice to see the figures and trends and everything. And we'll have more conversation after Emilia's presentation, but I just wanted to pinpoint that in your last slide with the dropout trend, it was you also had the gray trend line for national average in Finland. So it was nice to see that you went below that from where you started.
Yes, that's a good point. I'll show the slide for the others as well. Let's see. There, yes. And that's a very good point, Mira, that green is Varia, which goes, it's been high 15, 17% here and dropped to 13, then all the way to 10 last year. And the gray here is the national average, and it has been here between 11 and 13%. So the national average has been more stable. Theirs as well has gone a little bit down, which is of course good thing, but you can see the green that we were over the national average and have now dropped below. So that's a good reference frame for how Varia has been doing.
Yes, thank you. Very, very satisfying results. Good. We did have a question from Petra, and maybe Emilia is the right person to actually reply, or you can decide. But she is asking, can 2 persons be added to the student answer?
Yes, thank you for the question. Short answer is yes. So if there's several, for example, if there's a pair, a work pair that take care of certain students, and they want both to have the same, they want to be aware of the student needs, so that can be done. If there's several roles that so if you want a teacher and a study counselor, for example, to be aware of the same support need, I think that is possible as well. Juhani, do you have something to add, or I don't know if you use that. I think you have chosen to.
Certain about that. Does Pia know about this? When you more about the message process, do you know? But no, I'm not certain. Is it possible? But I guess you'll.
Yeah, at least in Varia's case, the choice has been made to always use one role. So we decide if it's the teacher or if it's the study counselor or who it is, and then go from there. But several, for example, several study counselors can view. So within one role, it's possible to view by several people.
Thank you. Thank you for a good question. Yes, Emilia, please go ahead.
Yeah. Just to make sure, what's my time limit? Is it 15 minutes or?
I think if we have 15 or 10 minutes for conversation, that will be enough. But we're flexible.
All right.
15 minutes is, I think, a good goal.
Let's see if I can keep to that. So on my behalf, welcome as well to the webinar. And I'll be talking about what we call reactive ANI support messages. So meaning, for example, the absence support message. So something has happened and then we need to react to that. So mainly most oftentimes it's something that we are worried about. So above the blue boxes are what happens to, or what should be happening to students. So they are applicants. Okay, maybe we can also send something to the rejected ones, but then the applicants get accepted. They accept the study place. They start the first semester, then they go on semester 2, so on. This is concerning vocational education. So then they have the on-the-job learning, the graduation approaches, and then they graduate from the school. So these are all possible moments to ask the student, like, hey, a new semester has started. How are you feeling? Is everything okay? Or your on-the-job learning started. How are you feeling there? Is everything going well at the job? Then the red ones below, are more of the targeted or more of the reactive support messages. So exactly like this webinar topic, if the absences get really high, or if there's a lot of failed courses, if there's missing signups, or just maybe the student isn't failing at courses, but they're not attending, or maybe in higher education, they haven't chosen any courses, so the credit accumulation is low, or then if there's some dropout. So these are more of the situations where we are maybe worried about the student and want to ask like, hey, can we help? Is there something we can do? So the different ANI messages, the preventive support messages, which are these blue ones, the side of them is that all students, so they can be exactly like Juhani told, that if it's from 6 weeks from starting the studies, so all students after they've been in the school for 6 weeks, they get the message, and so their awareness of the services increase, and it might prompt reflection on their situation. So maybe they haven't been aware that some themes, they actually can get help to those themes from the school. And then that way we reach the students that aren't yet visible in the data. So if the student has been feeling down, or there's some concerns in their head, but it's not showing yet in the data, so we reach those students. But then the maybe question marks or the things we can't achieve with these messages is that it might be perceived as intrusive, or the students might feel like it's spam, like, why am I getting these messages when I don't need them, or I didn't ask for help. Like some students feel like, if I need help, I'll ask. So I don't want these messages asking, am I okay? And one reason they might be feeling that is that they aren't tailored for their individual situation. Then the other part is the reactive support messages. So the pluses in these messages are that they're timed and context aware. So they are addressing the student's individual situation. And in the message, we try to offer the services that are most critical in that moment. So if it's on-the-job learning, we're offering support for the on-the-job learning, not graduating or something. And then so services that match that specific need. And then the question marks is that the tone, especially if it's something negative or something we don't wish to be happening. So, for example, the absences or the failed courses or the risk of dropout. So the wording needs to be careful. So in order to not be blaming the student, in order to support the student's agency, like, hey, you have a choice, you can do something about this, and we want to help you feel good and progress with your studies. And so, but these reactive support messages, on the other hand, they fail to reach the students whose difficulties do not manifest in the data. So these two are, oftentimes schools are using both. So the other one gets sent to all, and the other one gets sent to those we perceive need that particular message. So that way, all students get a checkup at least every now and then. Planning, like how do we plan a reactive message together at the ANI team and the school? Well, the first thing is the target group. So what is the problem we are intended to be solving, and how does it manifest in the data? So here, if I remember right, there's quite a bit of text. So don't worry. The point is you don't need to be reading all this, but it's just to exemplify that, for example, the absences. What's going to or what the student might be facing, what kind of concerns and needs the student might be having. So in the workshop, the idea is to kind of get in the shoes of the student, like what might cause their absences. And it can be all sorts of things, especially in schools that there's adult students, underage students, international students, like there's all kinds of situations. And then the other thing we want to think is what services and resources are available. And then, for example, in Varia's case, because there's different degrees, different degree types, I mean, so the different types are allowed to have different resources. So then we create the same message, but we offer different resources according to what's available for that particular student segment, so to say. And then other considerations, we always, at Annie, we're always focused on the students so that the student gets the support. So if possible, always direct the student straight to the support and not just a link or something. So if according to the situation, obviously, but so that the point is to lower the threshold to get help. So what is the best way to lower the threshold and make it easy for the student to access the help? Yeah. Then the second step is defining the variables and data transfer. So like Juhani mentioned, Varia has the integration. So the student information system, daily there's data updated to Annie. So which categories or which columns are critical for the wanted message? In absence message, obviously it's the absences, but also do we want to make some other criteria? So the systems that have, so for example, if we're looking at, in higher education, if we're looking at theses not progressing, and if the theses system is different from the student information system, then we're having two integrations and getting both data at the same time. So present students who have already started their theses, so that we get the correct group, these kinds of things. So here are examples. So mandatory information, obviously, like the student, how do we identify unique students? What are their qualifications, location, group? These have also to do with so that we get the correct support providers, so that when a student needs support, the correct person gets the notification that, hey, this particular student is needing help. And yeah, are they present, graduated, resigned? What's the status of the student? And that these are, like I mentioned just earlier, the optional information depends of the message. So is it critical to get the date of the on the job learning, sorry, period? So when has it started, or when is it about to end? Or then the compulsory education means if the student is a minor or if they're an adult, and if there's something that we need to take into consideration, and so on. So Annie is very flexible with the data. So if the data is available and it's complete, so we get the data from all of the students that we need to, or we want to be sending the message, then from Annie's side, it's very easy to take into consideration. Most of the time, it's the school's data that's lacking information, or the information is different from student to student. So certain teachers register data differently from other teachers, for example. So there are decisions to be made, and sometimes Annie acts as a data, not cleanup, but data organizer. So because Annie needs the data correctly, then the school has a very good reason to kind of decide together that the data needs to be registered at a certain type or time. All right, then the third is defining trigger rules. So what, I guess this is easier to explain with the examples. So for example, the absence. So here is an example of some of the words are in Finnish, but we manage. So the student status, they need to be present. And then the degree needs to be a basic degree. And the location needs to be whichever campuses are involved. And then the absent hours. So here it got decided that it's 10 absent hours. And then with those criteria, we can simulate what the how many students at the moment fit that criteria. And at this case, it was 53 students. Then if we increase the absent hours to 20, it drops to 8. So because not so many, like only 8 students were away for 20 hours, but already 53 students were away for 10 hours. Then 15 would be somewhere in the middle, 23. So this is the kind of exercise we can do with the customer, like for example, absences, it's kind of hard to estimate. It's much easier to estimate how many students will start or how many students will probably attend on the job learning. But absences, if it's not been tracked before, it might be hard to estimate. So this, we have a tool to kind of go through it and then set the limit somewhere. And finally, the support message. So the wording, like what is the actual message sent to the students? And all these, this is the message that Juhani already showed you. So the opening message and then what happens after that. So according to what the student chooses, different staff roles are sent the notification of the student. And all these make the weekly recurring targeted support message. So defining the group, defining the variables, the rules, and then the actual messaging. And here are some examples more. So we already went through the absence message. So it was 24 hours within a month, and we already went through the actual message that the student is getting. Then Varia also, as an example, has on the job learning. So the trigger condition is that the period started 2 weeks ago. And here is the example or the opening message. So how has on the job learning been? Can we help you? And the student can choose if they want support with work tasks or planning demonstrations, or if they have some questions about the field and being motivated to that field, or then well-being. And then from higher education side, Metropolia uses this study time ending soon trigger. So if in a 3.5-year degree, the student has already used 9 semesters, or then in a 4-year degree, the student has already used 10 semesters, they get a message asking what is their current situation and if they intend to graduate or if they need more time. And then the bot, if they need more time, the bot gives instructions how to do that, or if they have some other situation. Or then if the student is marked as resigned. So if the student has not registered as present or absent, then the bot sends a message to the students like, hi, according to our records, we have no information from you. Are you going to still continue with your studies? And then the student can apply to be a student again, or in attendance or in absence. Or then if they don't know, they get more help. They can be, the support need can be directed to the study counselor. And shortly, I see I am exceeding my time, but best practices, there's
no rush.
There's 3 pretty good best practices that we've noticed over the times we have been doing these. So the weekly deliveries. So a really good pace is messages once a week. And obviously this doesn't mean that all students get a message on a weekly basis, but once a week we send out support messages, and that's sufficient enough that like it doesn't matter if a threshold is crossed on Wednesday or Friday. If it's delivered once a week, that's like timely enough. And this simplifies the technical implementation, and then like Juhani presented, so the staff has more time to process the requests. So if we would do it more sparsely, then the support needs would suddenly build up, and then there would be quiet again. So this has been, we figured that this is a good pace. The second time or the second practice is the waiting period. Also, I guess it could be said grace period. So if the student is absent, we don't, if within 2 weeks they're absent again for another 25 hours, we don't send a message to them every 2 weeks. That's it doesn't really serve the purpose. Like the student will be annoyed, or there needs to be a bigger intervention for the student. So the student cannot be selected again for the same support message. For example, in the absences, it's a 3-month waiting period. Or then if the student is marked as resigned, that's only once a year. So obviously we don't ask the same thing from the student again if they've said what they want, so then we respect that. But this can be, the waiting period can be from case to case, like what is appropriate, what is smart to do in that situation. And then the third best practice is the continuous review of the threshold. So for example, like I showed you the 10 credits, that was absences, but in credit accumulation. So if the student has only fewer than 10 credits, we send a message. Then if there's very little messages being sent, we can increase that to 15 credits. So it's smart to start with something and then see for a semester. And then if that works, let's keep it that way. If it doesn't work, we can increase or decrease, or it's very flexible. So what best works in your school? That's what we aim at. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Emilia. Thank you. That was a good kind of a deep dive to the practicalities, which is usually something that people are really interested in, how like the theories work in practice and how it is done. And one of the most frequently asked questions is that how do you decide when the message is sent? Because obviously there's lots and lots of different options like you showed us. So how can we decide when to send the messages? So that's good. And also because you have the experience with other schools, so you can have like your expertise and suggestions and help the partner schools with that. So that's very good. Do we have any questions for either Juhani or Emilia, or for each other, even if you want to share some experiences or general questions or just comments or anything? Regarding the deciding when to send the messages and what the trigger is for either the supporting messages or the trigger-based messages, do you think, do you feel like that is the biggest kind of thing to, or issue to consider when starting with Annie? Is it like the major food for thought before having to send the support messages? Maybe I should direct the question to maybe Emilia and then Juhani also, if you have experience on this one.
So sorry, if you can rephrase it.
Oh, sorry. So like when a school starts with Annie, like is this the biggest thing that like you have to kind of have a workshop on? Like when do we send the messages? Is that like the biggest thing to think about, and then you can start doing the messages?
Most oftentimes schools get interested in Annie for a reason. So whatever the reason is, we need to decrease dropouts, or we want to like enhance something or make something a downside less major. So we usually start from that. So what is the interest, and then most oftentimes, as we say, finish the hunger increases when you eat. So then, okay, we have this now. So could we do something else, or could we actually, while we're at it, let's add this one? Or so, yeah. I guess oftentimes it's to decide and have it in pieces. So a pilot first. If you have a lot of campuses, let's focus on 1 or 2 campuses, or let's do 1,000 students from 12,000 students, or like let's have something to work with first and then expand. So that's, I guess, it has to do also with this, like which messages and when, but also the to who and what is the plan of expansion.
Thank you.
And I think Emilia answered well. I'll take another viewpoint in what's important also to consider is that, for example, I showed that the absence questions most went to teachers, and we had 191 teachers answering this. So this is I mean, mostly it's important to take the whole organization into account. I mean, if we were going to have many hundred people answering questions for the students, then it has to be sold well to the whole organization. Otherwise, there may be challenges. I mean, for example, like I said, we had 1/4 of students answered in the beginning that they didn't get the needs, the answers or the help they needed. I mean, it's not good to start and that there's a negative a reaction from the students and the staff that we don't want that. It's good to have to plan that well in beforehand. How do you talk to the staff? How do you sell the new thing? Because there's I mean, for example, for Annie, there's lots of good things. I mean, but that they have to understand, that they have to see that the work they put into the answering and helping students actually helps the whole organization. So, of course, that's also a long a long path, but it's an important thing to consider when starting.
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you.
Actually, there's a question in the chat that touches on this exact subject, and I think actually I was not so much involved in this part of I was more of the technical side, so I'm not completely sure. But I think one thing that helped is that we had some ANI coordinators for all our locations that knew more about this stuff, and they were the people that the other staff could easily contact and ask, oh, what's happening? What do I need to do? And so they get help fast, and they get the answers that they need fast. I think that helped over time in making a better the situation better. But everything does not work like in Finland. Finland says, like in Strömsö, for example, for us. We'd like for the what's the group called, the I mean the school nurses, social workers, and psychologists. We'd like the messages to go straight to them, but right now we have it through the service coordinator because that's what they wanted. So I mean, it's also always a question of communicating and deciding together what the correct way forward is. That every time it doesn't go as you want to, then you make another plan and do what you can with what you have.
Yes, that's a good mindset to test and then learn and then adjust according to it. Yes, good point. And funnily, I actually thought you were answering to the chat message when you were speaking earlier. So yeah, good timing. But yeah, otherwise, if no one has any other or further questions, we can wrap up the webinar. But if you have any questions afterwards, obviously you can contact us. You can reply even to the webinar recording email and let us know if you have any questions, or email us, or I can actually type my email in the chat, so I can forward the questions to the right people. But if we are done, then I wish you all a very good day, and thank you for joining us.
Bye-bye.
And
Thank you so much.
You.
Kiitos.
Bye.